hide your face, hide your neck, duck your head, wear an NFL football helmet when you are playing in a game versus DiJonai Carrington. Fresh off of clotheslining, a Kane and Undertaker clothesline from hell that she delivered to Sophie Cunningham, this girl is right back on the court, hitting people upside the head once.
Hands up, swipe for the ball with our right hand while poking the player in the eye with the left hand.
The eyeball. We're poking eyeballs out again. Is that what we're doing? We're eye gouging again?
There's a point in sports when something stops feeling like a string of bad breaks and starts looking like a recurring pattern. And DJ Carrington may have reached that point. Just 4 days after being ejected for a flagrant 2 foul on Sophie Cunningham, she returned to the court against the Golden State Valkyries. But before the game was over, she was involved in 2 more separate moments where her hands appeared to make contact in ways that immediately drew attention. One play sent her hand directly towards Cecilia Zandalicini's eye, while another resulted in contact with Tiffany Hayes around the mouth. 2 different opponents, 2 separate plays, 1 game, and the same kind of controversy followed. This time, fans weren't exactly willing to dismiss it as another accident.
To tell ya, I tried. This girl is not going to stop until she takes somebody out the league. This girl will not stop until she ends somebody's career. DiJonai Carrington, once again, with another dirty foul in less than a week, in just a couple of days apart from each other. A couple of days apart from the Sophie Cunningham hard foul. You have Mrs. Eye Poke, Mrs. Flagrant foul. I'm gonna grab your head, I'm gonna hit your head, upside your head, knock you out the air. Mrs. I'm gonna pull your hair. Mrs. I'm gonna whack you on the back of your head. Mrs. Long nailed, sharp knobbed fingertips. DiJonai Carrington strikes again.
On the first sequence, Carrington was defending Zandalini out on the perimeter. Her right hand appeared to be reaching toward the ball, but her left arm moved upward and across, making direct contact with Zandalini's eye, while both of Carrington's arms were elevated. Later in that same matchup, Tiffany Hayes drove in for a layup, and Carrington went up alongside her. Instead of making a play on the basketball, Carrington's arm came down and made contact with Hayes across the mouth. Neither incident resulted in a flagrant foul, and neither play earned her a technical. Carrington did, however, receive a technical earlier in the game after arguing with an official in the 3rd quarter, giving some indication of how heated the game had already become before either of those 2 plays occurred.
Put both hands up right after. That's DiJonai.
Yeah, I gouged another white girl. Yeah, I gouged another white girl while wearing your Sophie Cunningham wig. I am officially, hey, this ain't Clerks 2, but I'm taking back Sophie Cunningham's hair. I'm taking it back. You got Sophie Cunningham's hair on while you're poking the white girls in the eyeballs.
Now, this is where the situation becomes much harder to dismiss. We're not talking about a rookie still adjusting to the pace and physicality of the league. Carrington is a 6-year veteran who has already played for 3 different franchises, and she also has a documented history that includes making contact with Caitlin Clark's eye during the 2024 playoffs. At the time, that incident was largely explained away. Clark herself said she didn't believe the contact was intentional, while Carrington said she couldn't imagine deliberately trying to hit someone in the eye. Fair enough. Many people accepted that explanation, or at least gave her the benefit of the doubt. But 1 incident can be an accident. 2 can still be a coincidence. When a 3rd and 4th incident involve contact around the face during highly physical moments, though, people naturally start asking whether there's more to the pattern than simple bad luck.
I want to defend her, the story, the narrative that she's not a dirty player. She makes plays like this all the time. I put together a little clip of DJ Carrington, who is definitely one of the dirtiest players in the WNBA. I don't know if we can roll it, but she's taken her long fingernails. She's scratched Caitlin Clark's eyes out. She's had multiple instances of chasing people down from behind, trying the same swat and smashing them in the head and causing mini fights. She pulled another girl's hair. I don't know if we'll get to that clip in a second when she's falling. Totally dirty play. This is not a skin color thing. She has a history of making dirty plays, and it's fine. The NBA, you can be
It's important to recognize how much ability Carrington actually brings to the court, because that's exactly what makes this situation so frustrating for people who genuinely appreciate her game. She was once a finalist for Most Improved Player, and her defensive numbers in steals consistently place her among the league's better performers. She has the size, instincts, and anticipation to defend several positions, which helps explain why teams continue to value what she can bring despite the controversy surrounding her. Nobody is seriously questioning whether she can play basketball. The issue is whether that talent should continue to overshadow a pattern of physical incidents that opponents and fans believe could put other players at risk. At this point, the discussion surrounding Carrington has shifted dramatically. Instead of focusing on her defense, athleticism, or overall skill, much of the attention is now centered on her behavior and the way she handles physical situations on the court.
From the Flagrant 2 on DiJonai Carrington against Sophie Cunningham, where she proceeded to go into the locker room and tweet white privilege after being thrown out of the game. I'm not going to comment on that situation, but I will say this. This is a Flagrant 2. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, don't matter. This is a Flagrant. I mean, she clotheslined her. What more do you want? So, this looks very bad. It just shows that the WNBA is nowhere near where they need to be professionally, because again, this is a clothesline. It's Flagrant 2.
And to understand why this latest controversy has become such a big deal, you have to go back to where the whole situation really began. Because the Valkyries game didn't happen in isolation. Just 4 days earlier, Carrington was involved in one of the most heavily discussed fouls of the WNBA season. Sophie Cunningham was airborne on a fast break layup, with the shot already heading toward the basket when Carrington came from behind and swung her arm across Cunningham's head and neck area. Cunningham crashed hard to the floor. Officials initially ruled it a Flagrant 1, but after reviewing the play, they upgraded the call to a Flagrant 2, pointing to the windup, the force of the contact, and the follow-through. Those are the kinds of factors officials consider when determining whether a foul crosses the line from ordinary physical play into something serious enough to warrant an immediate ejection.
White privilege after getting tossed from the game, but says it wasn't about the foul. Can you explain this?
No, I can't. When she tweeted white privilege, she did it so quickly, it was almost as though she had the phone in her pocket after this foul and she got ejected. So, I mean, to say she wasn't referring to this play or getting kicked out and saying that the only reason she got kicked out and got upgraded is because Sophie Cunningham is white is crazy. It was a crazy thing to tweet, maybe crazier than to try to act like it had nothing to do with the play. So I have no idea what she's talking about. I don't think anybody can have any idea what she's talking about.
What made the situation even heated was what happened immediately afterward. Cunningham got back to her feet and went straight toward Carrington, forcing teammates from both teams to step in and separate them. When reporters later asked the officials why Cunningham wasn't assessed a technical for confronting Carrington, they explained that her reaction was considered understandable given the seriousness of the contact she had just taken. In other words, the officiating crew believed the severity of Carrington's foul helped explain Cunningham's immediate response. That doesn't make the confrontation insignificant, but it does show how seriously the officials viewed the original play. And once you watch the replay in that context, it becomes much easier to understand why the incident sparked such a strong reaction.
When it comes to DiJonai Carrington, here she is on the floor being dirty once again. The girl cannot help herself at this point. She can't help it. Take a look at this. Okay, you swing at the ball, but then you hit her all in the face with your other hand, and then you put your hands up like you didn't do nothing. You hitting her all in the face. Look at this. Watch her left hand. The right hand right here went to the ball. Watch this left hand. Like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? What are you doing? When is enough with this chick? come on. Come on. You hitting people in the face. It's over and over and over. How many times do we have to witness?
Now look at the timeline for a second. Carrington came off the bench and scored 8 points in just 4 minutes, only to be ejected in the first quarter after committing a foul the league later viewed as excessive. Then, only 4 days later, she was back on the court and involved in 2 separate plays that resulted in contact with opponents' faces during the same game. At that point, it becomes harder for critics to describe everything as one isolated mistake. To them, it looks like a recurring level of physical aggression that keeps showing up from game to game and opponent to opponent. And that brings us to a tweet that has been making the rounds since this controversy exploded, because it highlights something that basic statistics don't necessarily show. The post claimed, "The trajectory for DJ Carrington's basketball career is not looking good. 15 teams, and in the past 2 years, Connecticut let you go. Dallas didn't want you around Paige, Cheryl Reeve didn't want you back, Steph White didn't want you, and Chicago committed to you for 1 year." Whether every number in that post is accurate or some of it was exaggerated for emphasis, the larger point is what caught people's attention. Look at Carrington's actual transaction history. She was drafted by Connecticut in 2021, moved from Connecticut to Dallas in February 2024, then went from Dallas to Minnesota around the following season's trade deadline. After suffering a season-ending injury with Minnesota during the playoffs, she eventually landed in Chicago on a 1-year contract. Depending on how you count the moves in short stints, that puts her with 4 organizations in roughly a 2-year span, and every change came with another team deciding it was time to move in a different direction.
DiJonai Carrington damn near decapitated Sophie Cunningham's head, and even though she bloodied Sophie Cunningham's mouth, and even though she got ejected and ran straight to Twitter after being assessed a Flagrant 2, and putting white privilege in caps while tagging the Indiana Fever, we the public, we the fans of the WNBA, we the fans of Sophie Cunningham, and we the fans of good basketball, we're just stupid because we inferred that DiJonai Carrington tweeting white privilege, of course, had something to do with the Flagrant 2 and the ejection. But DiJonai is coming out to set the record straight, baby. She said that we're stupid, we lack critical thinking skills, and in no way, shape, or form would she ever use the word of white privilege as.
When a player gets moved around, there can be plenty of explanations. Sometimes it's simply a bad fit. Sometimes a team is rebuilding. Sometimes it's just part of the business. But when several coaching staffs reportedly choose not to bring that player back, and the latest team offers only a 1-year contract rather than a longer commitment, it naturally raises more questions. It can suggest that front offices appreciate the athletic ability and production on the court while remaining uncertain about the rest of the package. For an experienced player, a 1-year deal can function more like an evaluation period than a strong long-term endorsement. Then, the conversation shifted online, with one social media post turning the original incident into a much broader argument about race and officiating. That gave the controversy another direction and, in some people's view, moved attention away from the actual basketball play itself. Now, less than a week later, Carrington was involved in 2 additional incidents during the same game. And if the league truly intends to maintain strict standards around dangerous physical contact, situations like this become an important test. The question is whether those standards will be applied consistently or whether stronger action only comes after public pressure forces the issue.
Oh, look at y'all favorite player.
Went over to one of the officials, as you see Sarah Williams there.
She trying to make it seem like a fan did something crazy to her, right? While I watch. Look at what y'all looking at. They going to talk to that dude. They've been trying to make him leave, right? She's trying to get somebody kicked out. So he getting up. He end up leaving, right? He end up leaving. So they got to investigate. They got to investigate. Now look at the 4th quarter. Look at who you see back sitting out there. He's sitting right there. That's him right there. And see, these are the type of games that they play when they in the wrong, right? And it's not a coincidence that this stuff has happened because she's been dirty forever. But has she been getting people kicked out like that or attempting to get people kicked out like that? No. Now all of a sudden, now it's time to start kicking people out. Man, it's crazy.
And fans have definitely taken notice. The conversation has moved beyond simply saying Carrington had a bad night. Now people are talking about a possible pattern. And in sports, repeated incidents often lead to labels that can stick with the player for a long time. The nickname The Poker has been associated with her since the 2024 incident involving Caitlin Clark, but now some fans are using it with much less patience and far more criticism. The reason is simple. This is no longer one controversial moment from more than a year ago. Within the span of a single week, 3 different players were involved in separate incidents involving contact around the face. And the issue of accountability is where the criticism becomes even louder. Following the Cunningham foul, Carrington didn't primarily address the play itself. Instead, she posted about white privilege from the locker room. Whatever she intended by that message, it shifted attention away from the central basketball questions. Was the foul dangerous? And does her recent history suggest a recurring problem with overly physical contact? For several days, those questions became secondary to an entirely different controversy. Now that the Valkyries game has added 2 more incidents to the conversation, both storylines are colliding at the same time. And to many critics, neither situation makes Carrington appear particularly willing to directly confront the concerns surrounding her conduct on the court.
Eyes. Bow. Went for the ball. I mean, like, where? Like, there's no. You hit the ball on that one, and right here, like, it's like, all right, I missed the ball. Now I gotta smack you. I like. Come on, guys. Like, and I know the community is gonna say she went for the ball. She went for the ball. Yeah, I know her head might be shaped like a ball. We all, it's a similarity there. But there's no way DiJonai Carrington continuously gets away with this time after time after time. Like, the compilations, DiJonai is not good. It's not good. It's not good for you. It's absolutely not good for you. You're poking people in the eye, flagrant fouling people. Like, what are you doing? You swipe for the ball and then you smack the right in the eyes. Like, this is dirty as dirty.
There's another part of this conversation that can't be ignored: fairness. Because every time one of these incidents happens, it isn't only Carrington's reputation or career being affected. Zandalicini still had to finish that game and continue through the season knowing she had just taken contact to the face, potentially leaving her and her coaching staff wondering what might happen the next time Carrington was assigned to guard her. Tiffany Hayes also absorbed contact around the mouth during a live play where the basketball wasn't even near either player's hands. And after the Cunningham foul, Sophie left the court visibly shaken, with teammates having to step between the 2 players to prevent the confrontation from escalating. These aren't just numbers on a stat sheet or isolated clips for fans to debate online. They involve real athletes taking real physical contact throughout a long season, while the player defending them has developed a reputation for consistently operating close to the limits of what the rules allow, and, according to many frustrated fans, occasionally crossing that boundary.
Carrington break more WNBA rules by being on her phone while being ejected. That is a widely spread rumor that started basically after the game and went into overnight. That she should be suspended because she was on her phone after being ejected, and then somebody shared this rule or a screenshot of WNBA rules. So I went to the rules myself. It's a 91-page document, and I've been searching every keyword and every possibility to try to find this rule that they're saying exists. That players aren't allowed to be on any electronic device or their phones 30 minutes before the game or 30 minutes up to 30 minutes after the game or something.
Then there's another detail that adds an entirely different level of concern to the situation. After the ejection, clips and online claims began circulating suggesting that Carrington had been seen using her phone while still in uniform during the game. Given how strict the league's current policies are, that could become a significant issue if the claim were ever confirmed. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement specifically bars players from wagering directly or indirectly on any part of a WNBA game, and the league has been especially cautious about anything involving phones and gambling this season. That scrutiny increased after the league had to address a promotional video in which players joked about betting only weeks earlier. So this isn't something that should automatically be dismissed. If there is legitimate evidence behind the phone use allegation, then the league would need to determine exactly what happened and whether any rules were violated. And if the league chooses not to address the matter, that could create another problem of its own. A league that emphasizes strict gambling standards in one situation, but appears silent when another potential issue involving phone use emerges, risks creating the impression that its policies aren't being applied consistently. Fans have already noticed that tension, and now they're asking for the same standards to apply across the board.
How many people are you just gonna hit in the face? Let me freeze it right there. It's like every single game you are hitting somebody else in the face. Every game you're hitting somebody in the face like this, and that wasn't even the worst. Take a look at this play right here. This girl's a menace in the league. I'm telling you, she's a menace. It's unsafe for people to be out there with her. It's unsafe. Let's go here. Now take a look at this. You got Tiffany Hayes driving to the rim. And watch, here goes DiJonai Carrington right here. Here goes DiJonai Carrington, watch her. You're nowhere near the ball, dude. You are nowhere near the fucking ball. Like, stop.
And that's really why this story has become much bigger than a single bad night on the stat sheet. This isn't just one flagrant foul that everyone forgets a few days later. It's another face area incident connected to Carrington, adding to a history that has now involved multiple opponents and multiple teams, with 2 more controversial plays coming only days after the Cunningham ejection. Each time, the explanation tends to come back to the same point. There was no intention to hurt anyone. But every new replay invites another round of questions. Eventually, intent can't be the only thing people examine. When similar incidents keep repeating, the pattern itself becomes part of the discussion. And right now, that pattern is saying more to critics than anything Carrington has said publicly about the controversy. There's also a larger basketball problem here. A team can't build its defensive identity around a player who repeatedly becomes the headline because of contact to an opponent's face, instead of being recognized for stops, steals, deflections, and disciplined defense. Every time another incident happens, the conversation isn't, Carrington just made an incredible defensive play. It becomes, Carrington is involved in another controversy. That creates a perception problem. And in a growing professional league, perception can eventually become a much bigger issue if it starts affecting how players, fans, and teams view the game.
The WNBA front office is going to have to admit this chick is intentionally targeting the face. Here's Mick. I don't even know how you do this intentionally. The ball is behind her, and she went for the ball with her right hand while clawing her in the face with her left hand. Yeah. White girls are only 15% of the WNBA, but seem disproportionately targeted by DiJonai, the condiment made by mixing mayonnaise and Dijon mustard. Fair enough. Another dirty play by DiJonai. I wonder, is this white privilege as well? Does this qualify as white privilege? Ooh. This is more like DiJonai fatigue.
Think about this from the business side for a moment, because the consequences can extend far beyond one player's reputation. The WNBA has spent the past couple of seasons benefiting from a massive surge in attention, stronger television agreements, and growing sponsorship investment. A big part of that growth depends on the league presenting itself as competitive, professional, and safe for major partners to support. So whenever a moment like this becomes viral for the wrong reasons, whether it's a dangerous foul, a locker room post that sparks a national argument, or an unverified allegation involving phone use and gambling rules, it creates another layer of unwanted attention. And the longer questions remain unanswered, the more directly they become Chicago's problem, because Carrington is wearing their uniform when these incidents happen. Eventually, a front office has to decide whether a player's production on the court is worth the repeated controversy surrounding her off-court and disciplinary reputation. And if these situations continue piling up before her one-year contract even reaches its end, Chicago may be forced to make that decision much sooner than anyone anticipated.